Chair, you may call the meeting to order. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Civil Service Commission, Wednesday, March 8th, 2023 at 2:35. I call this meeting to order.
Chair Lofstrom,
Here.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Here.
Commissioner Ramos.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Rivas, for doing our roll call. Commissioners, at our last meeting, we discussed and shared that I had accepted a new role with the County Administrator's Office. And I said that I would come to our next meeting and introduce the new HR Director if we had one at the time. We do. I'd like to announce that Jennifer Goodman, our former Assistant Director of Human Resources, has accepted the position and will now serve as your secretary. We're very pleased in this announcement. We conducted an outside recruitment with some highly qualified individuals, and Ms. Goodman rose to the top. She's also been instrumental in helping me the last 3 years as I've onboarded to San Joaquin County as our Human Resources Director and as your secretary, which I've appreciated serving in that role. So I will now turn this over to Ms. Goodman as your new secretary to commence our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hopkins. Next thing on our agenda today, at the request of our chair, she's going to help me get used to this. We are having an informational item to recognize International Women's Day. And so I wanted to start off just by giving a little bit of background. And I'm not a great historian here, but Google does wonderful things. So this is a day that is internationally known to acknowledge the efforts and the contributions of women in society. And the reason we celebrate on March 8th is because one of the first strikes, organized strikes by women workers, was in New York City on March 8th in 1857. And so it was the first organized strike to try to begin fighting for women's rights in the workplace, dealt with working hours and wages. And so that is the day that's been chosen to recognize the contribution of women. And so we are excited today to have, as you can see, many people in our audience here to help us recognize it. And so we'd like to start off by asking Supervisor Tom Patty and I believe Supervisor Paul Canepa to come and provide a few words.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Does that work if we're down now? I think we have to go here. I guess myself and Supervisor Canepa, and in recognition of past Supervisor Gutierrez, we appreciate the integration and the relevance, the importance that women have played in San Joaquin County's history and the history of America. And you think about the development of America, and of course, none of us would be here today if it weren't for women, and the strides they've made in this county and as well as in this nation, being the leaders that they are. And we see those, I mean, who'd have thought 100 years ago that you'd have someone like Margaret Thatcher leading Great Britain, or you'd have a vice president now here in America. So there's leaps and bounds that happen, and oftentimes it seems like, you know, you're seeing the first time, the first this, the first that, but it's just really, it's a full integration and utilizing assets, people, human assets, as they are identified and recognized. And we see, you know, even the roles throughout San Joaquin County. We're very proud that I believe the majority of San Joaquin County, Ms. Hopkins and Jennifer could confirm, but I believe the majority of our employees in San Joaquin County are female, and, you know, doing a stellar job at that, and we're very proud of those accomplishments. Being a woman is so popular, in fact, that there's guys that dress up as women. They compete in women's sports because they want to be in the company of women. So we stand strong and defend women's rights and women's place in our society so that, you know, our women, our daughters, as I have an equal opportunity to compete and to be recognized for the athletes that they are and their accomplishments without interference by those that wish they were women. So we stand very strong in support of women in our country. So the Board of Supervisors have a certificate of recognition, and we looked on eBay. This is a one-of-a-kind. This is a very unique certificate, and it's got an inherent value, and it's soon going to be phased out. I believe, our clerk of the board, we have new certificates coming up soon. Is that correct? Yes, we have new certificates coming up, so this will be an even more limited edition. But San Joaquin County Civil Service Commission, we are proud to present this recognition of International Women's Day for supporting and recognizing the significant contributions of women leaders in San Joaquin County. Congratulations and best wishes, and we thank and appreciate the continued efforts that you all make and the integration, the contribution, and the important and amazing part of San Joaquin County that you all are. So thank you, and Supervisor Canepa.
I won't be as long as Tom was on that one, and he stole the certificate. Of course, we had this generated from our office, so he was in our office. So Tom stole it for us. So I want to thank Gina, who is my chief of staff, and Nicole, who's a new chief of staff for Supervisor Ding. And Jennifer is my neighbor, so I'm partial to her promotion, so I appreciate that. But as we're here in the sixth floor, I think it's as part of an organization, we need to do this. We need to honor women, and we need to honor everybody in the organization, because I think that everyone needs to feel honored and valued in the organization. So we from sixth floor came down to help celebrate, and we also were Googling what it was. So I'm sorry that we're not, well versed on what International Women's Day is, but I mean, it needs to be celebrated, and the history. Thank you for the history, and thank you for everybody for participating and making the county a great place for all of us to live. So thanks for your obviously new promotion, which I'm glad for you. And Marco Nellis, get off your phone over there. You're supposed to be listening to me. So we did. How I know him, we did Y Guides together, so it was dads and daughters, and we went to the Lair of the Bear, so I know council down at the other end, so we bonded with women for, never forget that as long as I live, so. Looks like a good group, and I think we need to get you more members, since 3 people trying to get a quorum is not the easiest thing in the world, so we'll get working on that, so thank you for serving the county.
Yeah, so Supervisor Ding and Supervisor Canepa's seats. Chair Lofstrom, is there anything you would like to say on our recognition today?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Canepa, Mr. Petty, for coming down. I actually am your appointee. Mr. Petty, you probably didn't know, but I am, and so I thought I'd just point that out. I've been celebrating International Women's Day since, I was trying to remember when, maybe 74, maybe 75, I don't know. But it was a big deal in the early 70s, and every year thereafter I have been telling the story of the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, the factory fire, and why we celebrate today. Everywhere I go, I always try to point out this day, and I am unbelievably thrilled that you all heard and chose to come celebrate. It's a wonderful day, and this is I really am grateful for all of you having done this. I did bring something to read very briefly, if I can open it quickly. Yes. So I'm lucky enough to be able to travel. I'm going to Amsterdam in a couple of weeks, and as preparation, I am reading Anne Frank's diary. And yesterday, I came across these 2 or 3 sentences, and I thought it would be so good to share. In the diary, she's talking about how she wants to be a writer, but if she can't make it as a professional writer, she tells herself, at least I have my diary. I can continue to write just for myself. But then she says, but I want to achieve more than that. I can't imagine having to live like Mother, Mrs. Van Daan, and all the women who go about their work and are then forgotten. I need to have something besides a husband and children to devote myself to. I don't want to have lived in vain like most people. I want to be useful or bring enjoyment to all people, even those I've never met. I want to go on living even after my death. Which is so moving, that part. So I just wanted to share that all with you, and if you don't have anything else for International Women's Day, I think we can move on in the agenda.
And I just wanted to give an opportunity if there's anyone else who has joined us today who has any words they wanted to speak about the day. Seeing none, we'll move on with our agenda then.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So next on our agenda is the approval of minutes from our February 8th, 2023 meeting.
Yes, I've been so excited about International Women's Day, but time to focus on business at hand, and assuming that we've all read the minutes. Do you have any corrections or edits?
No corrections. I'll move that we approve them as presented.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right. Next on the agenda is to accept the report of disciplinary actions for the month of March. There was an attachment to your agenda that includes one report of disciplinary action for this period. It's for a reduction in salary out of the Sheriff's Department with no appeal.
So I will entertain either a motion or discussion, whichever you want to go forward with. We do. It's an action
Okay,
So
I will
to-
move that we approve the,
to accept the report.
yes. Thank you.
I second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, the motion has passed.
Thank you. Next on our agenda, we do have another action item for the commission, a consideration of adding ADA language to all classification specifications. And Amy Brimmer, our classification analyst, will make a short presentation.
For the record, I am glad they all left. Whew, okay, so back to business here. So we had discussion in from mid to late 2020 regarding our classification specifications in particular, and that stemmed out of discussion around the physical and mental requirements that are included therein. And what came out of that in November of 2020 was direction from the commission, your body, to add a reasonable accommodation statement to each class specification. When we amend class specifications, the civil service rules ask that you provide for the commission, to approve any changes. So that in effect is a change to classifications, whether they're new or existing. And so what we're asking today is for essentially a blanket authorization that you authorize the Director of Human Resources to have staff amend the classification specifications that are already in existence and add that statement in the same place at the very end of the class specs, as we've been doing and bringing forth to you each and every time. And that's pretty much it. Anything else on that one?
I would just add that by giving us this blanket authority, it will ensure consistency. So each of our job specifications will have that language instead of waiting until such future time as there's some action that requires it to come to the board. So I think this will provide some consistency in all of our specifications, which, as you know, are posted and available to the public.
I'd be very happy to make that motion to do that. Exactly.
I'll second that. I have no problems with it.
Okay, thank you. Oh, yeah, a blanket authorization makes a lot of sense to me as well. So it's been moved and seconded that we provide the approval for them to move forward with to add ADA language to all classification specialists as sort of blanket authorization. All those in favor say aye.
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 No opposed, and the motion has passed. Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda, public comment. Ms. Rivas, do we have any public comment?
There's no public comment.
And is there anyone in the audience who would care to speak? There is none, so. Next in our agenda is to move into our closed session. There is not an expectation of any announcements out of closed session, so before we move into closed session, I will just, for the record, note our next meeting will be Wednesday, April 12th at 2:30. And in closed session, we will be considering a fitness for duty for the sheriff's office under Government Code 54957.
Thank you. We will now adjourn to closed session.
Thank you.
you.